Elon bet me $1 million. The trouble with Elon. Real quick, a Sam Harris article. I didn't set out to become an enemy of the world's richest man, but I seem to have managed it all the same. Until this moment, I resisted describing my falling out with Elon Musk in much detail, but as the man's cultural influence has metastasized, and he continues to spread lies about me on the social media platform that he owns, Twitter/X, it seems only appropriate to set the record straight. I know that it annoys many of my audience to see me defend myself against attacks that they recognize to be spurious, but they might nevertheless find the details of what happened with Elon interesting. Of all the remarkable people I've met, Elon is probably the most likely to remain a world historical figure, despite his best efforts to become a clown. He is also most likely to squander his ample opportunities to live a happy life, ruin his reputation and most important relationships, and produce lasting harm across the globe. None of this was obvious to me when we first met, and I have been quite amazed at Elon's evolution, both as a man and as an avatar of chaos. The friend I remember did not seem to hunger for public attention, but his engagement with Twitter and X transformed him to a degree seldom seen outside of Marvel movies or Greek mythology. If Elon is still the man I knew, I can only conclude that I never really knew him. When we first met, Elon wasn't especially rich or famous. In fact, I recall him teetering on the brink of bankruptcy around 2008 while risking the last of his previous fortune to make payroll at Tesla. At the time, he was living off loans from his friends Larry and Sergey. Once Elon became truly famous and his personal wealth achieved escape velocity, I was among the first friends he called to discuss his growing security concerns. I put him in touch with Gavin de Becker, who provided his first bodyguards and recommended other changes to his life. We also went shooting on at least 2 occasions with Scott Reitz, the finest firearm instructor I've ever met. It is an ugly irony that Elon's repeated targeting of me on Twitter and X has increased my own security concerns. He understands this, of course, but does not seem to care. So how did we fall out? Let this be a cautionary tale for any of Elon's friends who might be tempted to tell the great man something he doesn't want to hear. 1. When the SARS-CoV-2 virus first invaded our lives in March of 2020, Elon began tweeting in ways that I feared would harm his reputation. I also worried that his tweets might exacerbate the coming public health emergency. Italy had already fallen off of a cliff, and Elon shared the following opinion with his tens of millions of fans. The coronavirus panic is dumb. On March 6th. Damn. As a concerned friend, I sent him a private text. Oh, Jesus. Holy shit. How long has Sam Harris been off of X? It's been like 2 years, right? From Elon Musk mentioning Sam Harris. Sam Harris is mentally ill. Sam Harris is mentally ill. Sam Harris is an utter idiot. Sam Harris has gone flat out insane. It's tragic. Sam Harris is just actually not that smart. I literally was interested in Russia, Tesla, blah, blah, blah. Sam Harris is a pompous hypocrite. Sam lost me when he said that any lies at all would justify Trump losing. I mean, Sam literally wrote a book on why lying is evil. Sam Harris is a subtard. Read Lying, the new book. Oh, and then this goes back to 2011. So this is just recently, I guess. Or these are all 2024 November. Hey, brother, I really think you need to walk back your coronavirus tweet. I know there's a way to parse it that makes sense. Panic is always dumb. But I fear that's not the way most people are reading it. You have an enormous platform and much of the world looks to you as an authority on all things technical. Coronavirus is a very big deal. And if we don't get our act together, we're going to look just like Italy very soon. If you want to turn some engineers loose on the problem, now would be a good time for a breakthrough in the production of ventilators. Elon's response was, I believe, the first discordant note ever struck in our friendship. Sam, you of all people should not be concerned about this. Okay. He included a link to a page on the CDC website indicating that COVID was not even among the top 100 causes of death in the US. This was a patently silly point to make in the first days of a pandemic. We continued exchanging texts for at least 2 hours. If I hadn't known that I was communicating with Elon Musk, I would have thought I was debating someone who lacked any understanding of basic scientific and mathematical concepts like exponential curves. Elon and I didn't converge on a common view of epidemiology over the course of those 2 hours, but we hit upon a fun compromise. A wager. Elon bet me $1 million to be given to charity against a bottle of fancy tequila, $1,000, that we wouldn't see as many as 35,000 cases of COVID in the United States. Cases, not deaths. Holy shit. The terms of the bet reflected what was, in his estimation, the near certainty, 1,000 to 1, that he was right. Having already heard credible estimates that there could be 1 million deaths from COVID in the US over the next 12 to 18 months, these estimates proved fairly accurate. I thought the terms of the bet ridiculous and quite unfair to Elon. I offered to spot him 2 orders of magnitude. I was confident that we'd soon have 3.5 million cases of COVID in the US. Elon accused me of having lost my mind and insisted that we stick with the ceiling of 35,000. 2 orders of magnitude off. Yikes. We communicated sporadically by text over the next couple of weeks while the number of reported cases grew, ominously, Elon dismissed the next batch of data reported by the CDC as merely presumptive, while confirmed cases of COVID on his account remained elusive. A few weeks later, when the CDC website finally reported 35,000 deaths from COVID in the US and 600,000 cases, I sent Elon the following text. No! Full version here. Oh. Subscribe to Harris's Substack if you can. Is 35,000 deaths plus 600,000 cases greater than 35,000 cases? This text appears to have ended our friendship. Elon never responded, and it was not long before he began maligning me on Twitter for a variety of imaginary offenses. For my part, I eventually started complaining about the startling erosion of his integrity on my podcast without providing any detail about what had transpired between us. Oof, reminds me of me and Lex. At the end of 2022, I abandoned X altogether, having recognized the poisonous effect that it had on my life, but also in large part because of what I saw it doing to Elon. I've been away from the platform for over 2 years, and yet Elon still attacks me. Occasionally, a friend will tell me that I'm trending there, and the reasons for this are never good. As recently as this week, Elon repeated a defamatory charge about me being a hypocrite for writing a book in defense of honesty, and then encouraging people to lie to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. Not only have I never advocated lying to defeat Trump, despite what that misleading clip from the Trigonometry podcast might suggest to naive viewers, I've taken great pains to defend Trump from the most damaging lie ever told about him. Elon knows this because we communicated about the offending clip when it first appeared on X. However, he simply does not care that he is defaming a former friend to hundreds of millions of people, many of whom are mentally unstable. On this occasion, he even tagged the incoming president of the United States. All of this remains socially and professionally awkward because Elon and I still have many friends in common, which suggests the terms of another wager that I would happily make if such a thing were possible, and I would accept 1,000 to 1 odds in Elon's favor. I bet anyone who knows us both knows that I am telling the truth. Oof. Everyone close to Elon must recognize how unethical he's become, and yet they remain silent. Their complicity is understandable, but it is depressing all the same. These otherwise serious and compassionate people know that when Elon attacks private citizens on X, falsely accusing them of crimes or corruption, celebrating their misfortunes, he is often causing tangible harm in their lives. It's probably still true to say that social media isn't real life until thousands of lunatics learn your home address. A final absurdity in my case is that several of the controversial issues that Elon has hurled himself at us of late, and even attack me over, are ones that we agree about. We seem to be in near total alignment on immigration and the problems at the southern border of the US. We also share the same concerns about what he calls the woke mind virus, and we fully agree about the manifest evil of the so-called grooming gang scandal in the UK. The problem with Elon is that he makes no effort to get his facts straight when discussing any of these topics, and he regularly promotes lies and conspiracy theories manufactured by known bad actors at scale. And if grooming really were one of his concerns, it's strange that he couldn't find anything wrong with Matt Gaetz. Elon and I even agree about the foundational importance of free speech. It's just that his approach to safeguarding it, amplifying the influence of psychopaths and psychotics, while deplatforming real journalists and his own critics, or savaging the reputations of democratic leaders while never saying a harsh word about the Chinese Communist Party, is not something I can support. The man claims to have principles, but he appears to have only moods and impulses. Any dispassionate observer of Elon's behavior on X can see that there is something seriously wrong with his moral compass, if not his perception of reality. There is simply no excuse for a person with his talents, resources, and opportunities to create so much pointless noise. The callousness and narcissism conveyed by his antics should be impossible for his real friends to ignore, but they appear to keep silent, perhaps for fear of losing access to his orbit of influence. True. Of course, none of this is to deny that the tens of thousands of brilliant engineers Elon employs are accomplishing extraordinary things. He really is the greatest entrepreneur of our generation. Because of the businesses he's built, he will likely become the world's first trillionaire, perhaps very soon. Since the election of Donald Trump in November, Elon's wealth has grown by around $200 billion. It's nearly $3 billion a day and over $100 million an hour. Such astonishing access to resources gives Elon the chance, and many would argue the responsibility, to solve enormous problems in our world, so why spend time spreading lies on X? A scathing Substack. Will Elon respond? No. Remember, the goal with these types of far-right people is to never, ever, ever, ever respond. You never respond. Never, ever. They've all learned their strategy. I don't know from Trump, or maybe media's always known it, but you never spotlight this. Hassan does the same tactics as all of these guys, as Trump and Elon and everything. You never, ever, ever do this. You never respond directly.
A Pizzagate lunatic, like literally one of the people who gave us Pizzagate. You know, I'm not going to name them because they would be happy to be named in this context, right. But there's a couple of guys who gave us Pizzagate. You know,
right.
You remember what Pizzagate was?
Of course.
Okay.
That Hillary Clinton was running a pedophile ring out of a pizza parlor
out of the
Washington,
basement of a
D.C.
pizza parlor that doesn't have a basement.
In their defense, the pizza was fantastic.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So The people who gave us that are people who are in very good standing with Elon, who Elon will talk to them in Twitter Spaces and give them the mic and boost them and just high five them. And he knows, I've pointed out how crazy these people are to him. These people will send him a clip from my podcast or some other podcast, maybe this podcast, maybe we'll do it here, right? Making it seem like I've said the opposite of what I said in context. Like they sent him one where I seem to be saying that I didn't care about the chaos at the border, whereas I have exactly Elon's view of the border. And in context, you could hear that. But they'll send the opposite, and Elon will react to it. He doesn't have time to listen to the podcast, obviously, so he'll just react to the clip saying, Sam Harris is a total moron, right? Like it was something like that. But amplify this to millions of people. And I will email him and say, Elon, you're being gamed by right-wing trolls who gave us Pizzagate. This is not what I said in context, right? And he will tell me to go f myself. And he knows.
But he read the email.
Oh, yeah. He will respond to the email. Go fuck yourself. He does not care if he's defaming someone in public who used to be a friend. So, this is why we're no longer friends. So.
Well, did you see Bernie repeating your talking point?
Look objectively at what Biden has accomplished domestically, it is probably the strongest record of achievement since FDR in the 30s.
True.
What you're talking about is rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure and creating a huge number of jobs, making real progress in rebuilding manufacturing in America. First president really to take on big pharma.
True.
And have some impact in lowering the cost of prescription drugs, most notably beginning to negotiate prescription drug prices under Medicare. Investing.
Ooh, does Hassan argue against any of this, or does he cuck out and just? I like always looking at chat to gauge their feelings on it.
Very heavily in climate change and sustainable energy. A president who is unashamedly pro-labor, walked on a picket line behind automobile workers. That is a strong record. That's only part of what he did. Problem is, record is strong, but I think he was not been the kind of leader and communicator that made that record understandable to the American people. And second of all, even more importantly, that is an admirable record that he should be very proud of. I'm proud to work with him on some of those things. You look objectively.
Do you support Donald Trump being a pollster because he doesn't like a poll result?
I think Donald Trump.
This is insane. Has that complaint been filed? The Donald Trump suing Seltzer? Oh my God, a month ago? Damn, that's gotta be scary as f. I wonder how large her company, that polling company, even is. This action, which arises under the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act, Iowa Code Chapter 714H, including Section 17H, subsection or 0.3, subsection 1, and related provisions, seeks accountability for brazen election interference committed by the defendants in favor of now defeated former Democrat candidate Kamala Harris through the use of a leaked and manipulated Des Moines Register/Mediacom Iowa poll conducted by Seltzer and S&C and published by DeMar and Gannett in the Des Moines Register on November 2nd, 2024. Iowa Code, Chapter 740. So this is this would be like the code is always like criminal stuff, right? Or is there like contract stuff or tort? I guess there must be to list like cause of action, right? Maybe 714H Iowa Code. Consumer fraud, private actions. Okay, so private actions is when you're suing somebody for civil private stuff, that's considered tort, unless it's contract law, and that's something different. I don't know why. I don't even know what tort means. I just think that's what tort is. I don't know why, but okay. So 714H, including 714H.3, subsection 1. A person shall not engage in a practice or act the person knows or reasonably should know. So these are important things because they establish the intent, right? The mens rea that they have to knowingly do this. It can't just be you made a mistake, right? Or act the person knows or reasonably should know is an unfair practice, deception, fraud, false pretense, or false promise, or the misrepresentation. Okay, so this is all this. Or the misrepresentation, concealment, suppression, or omission of a material fact with the intent that others rely upon the unfair practice, deception, fraud, false pretense, false promise, misrepresentation, concealment, suppression, or omission in connection with the advertisement, sale, or lease of consumer merchandise or the solicitation of contributions for charitable purposes. Huh. Okay. Tort equals Common law of civil wrongs not arising from a contract. Well, there you go. I wonder, so all of this has to do with for the advertisement, sale, or lease of consumer merchandise, or the solicitation of contributions for charitable purposes, right? All of this would be in relation to that, I guess. H, including section 17H.3, subsection 1. Huh, okay. Let's see. Seeks kind of raise election interference. I don't understand how the election interference will give you like a cause of action here. I don't know, but who knows? We'll see. Contrary to reality and defying credulity, defendant's Harris poll was published 3 days before Election Day and purported to show Harris leading President Trump by Iowa. Let's see. He ultimately won that for the astonishing 16-point polling miss. Seltzer brazenly claimed it's hard for anybody to say they saw this coming. Harris has clearly leaped into a leading position. However, as Seltzer well knew, there was a perfectly good reason nobody saw this coming, because a 3-point lead for Harris in deep red Iowa was not reality. It was election interfering fiction. Yet Seltzer, who had prided herself on a mainstream reputation for accuracy despite several far less publicized egregious polling misses in favor of Democrats, discussed infra, would have the public believe it was merely a coincidence. One of the worst polling misses of her career came just days before the most consequential election in memory. It was leaked. Let's see. Defendants and their cohorts in the Democrat Party hoped that the Harris poll would create a false narrative of inevitability for Harris in the final week of the 2024 presidential election. I'm curious what the evidence is for the intentionality here. For too long, left-wing pollsters have attempted to influence electoral outcomes through manipulated polls that have unacceptable error rates and are not grounded in widely accepted polling methodologies. While Seltzer is not the only pollster to engage in this corrupt practice, she had a huge platform and following, and thus a significant and impactful opportunity to deceive voters. As Seltzer knows, this type of manipulation creates a narrative of inevitability for Democrat candidates, increases enthusiasm among Democrats, compels Republicans to divert campaign time and money to areas in which they are ahead, and deceives the public into believing the Democrat candidates are performing better than they really are. This would be like per quad versus per se has more to do than just defamation, right? So one thing we should look at, I guess, is, does the Iowa code here award, is there like a statutory award for damages, or do you have to prove damages for this? Like, what the fuck would be, consumer who suffers an ascertainable loss of money or property as a result of a prohibited practice or act in violation of this chapter may bring in an action at law to recover actual damages. So remember, to sue somebody, you have to have not only a cause of action, so they've done something to break some part of some like common law or some part of like the code or whatever. You also have to be able to get a remedy from the court. That's why you have to be able to prove damages, right? Somebody could damage you in a way, but if you didn't lose anything for it, then the court doesn't care. Unless it's something that's considered an egregious harm. So like if I call you a rapist, that's like so bad, or accuse you of the crime of rape, that might be so bad that there's a statutory fine. You don't have to prove damages in that case. You just are automatically awarded if you can prove your case. But I wonder what Trump is even going to ask for as a remedy here. Like what damages? In addition to an award of actual damages, so these are your primary like compensatory damages, statutory damages up to 3 times the amount of actual damages may be awarded to a prevailing consumer. Okay, so that's only if you can prove some damages. Interesting. Okay. Well, this is pretty crazy. But obviously nobody cares about anything happening in our country now because nobody cares about any of this. But the idea that the president of the United States is suing a pollster because he didn't like her poll is absolutely unhinged and insane. But okay, I guess this is part of the United States now. So this is the lawfare they keep talking about? Yeah, basically. This is our new normal, I guess. Democrat need for fake polling was even more acute than usual. The 2024 election, given Harris's many fatal weaknesses as a candidate and lack of appeal to critical swaths of the traditional Democrat base, her incessant use of word salads, i.e., jumbles of exceptionally incoherent speech, only underscored the urgency for left-wing pollsters to try and rescue Harris's candidacy. Sources: Fox News, Breitbart. Nice. Millions of Americans were deceived by the doctored Harris poll. President Trump has made impactful, widely read statements on the matter, writing on Truth Social, inter alia. I think that just means like included within. Or among other things. Sorry, never mind. Incorporated or whatever is included. Use inter alia meaning among other things. President Trump has made impactful, widely read statements on the matter, writing on Truth Social, inter alia, so among other things he's done about this. The Seltzer's misconduct caused great distrust and uncertainty at a very critical time. See President Trump's Truth Social. See also, why doesn't he link it? See also, Harris now leads Trump, the Des Moines Register. Uh-oh. Seltzer's polling miss was not an astonishing coincidence. It was intentional. As President Trump observed, she knew exactly what she was doing. Oh, well, shit. Well, if God, Aliyah, if God Emperor Trump said it, that should be all the evidence we need. Defendant's conduct violated the Iowa Code. This is what we read, pursuant to which a person shall not engage in a practice or act the person knows or reasonably should know is an unfair practice, deception, fraud, false pretense, or omission of material fact with intent that others rely upon. I don't see how that has to do with, but it is only for the sale of merchandise or like the donation to a charity. Was that the only two things? So I don't understand, unless I'm misreading this or not understanding something. With the intent that others rely upon the unfair practice, in connection with the advertisement, sale, or lease of consumer merchandise, or the solicitation of contributions for charitable purposes. I don't understand how that's connected. Like, what is the consumer merchandise or charitable purpose? I don't know what that means, but accordingly, President Trump brings this action to redress the immense harm caused to himself, to the Trump 2024 campaign, and to millions of citizens of Iowa and across America by the Harris poll and the defendants. For this action necessary to deter defendants and their fellow radicals from continuing to act with corrupt intent and releasing polls manufactured for the purpose of skewing election results in favor of Democrats. President Trump, as a citizen of the United States, a resident of the state of Florida, the 45th president of the United States of America, and as the landslide winner of the 2024 presidential election, the president-elect and incoming 47th president of the United States. Iowa is the jurisdiction, I guess. That's where this was filed. The amount in controversy exceeds the jurisdictional amount for a small claims action. Polk County is a proper venue because this is a county where the transaction or any substantial portion of the transaction occurred and where defendants are doing business. Defendants reside in Iowa or are incorporated in Iowa, engage in substantial business in Iowa, and target Iowa consumers in the conduct of their business. Factual allegations. Underneath the surface, Seltzer has quietly used her polls to try and influence recent races in favor of Democrats, receiving ample coverage from the legacy media and thus lacking accountability. Where do they allege wrongdoing? The truth is that there is no sensible or innocent explanation for the Harris poll since, as Manhattan Institute senior fellow James Pearson wrote, Seltzer's miss was beyond extreme. There's just no way it could have missed by that much. Manhattan Institute senior fellow James Pearson wrote, wow. Is that it? Claims for relief. Violation of the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act. Plaintiff realleges his allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 52. Okay. Oh, I didn't read the definition. That's my bad. So maybe for the definition of merchandise. Wait, hold on. What the fuck? Okay, consumer merchandise. Wait, scroll to section 7.14.16. I have to go downstairs and see our person. Hold on. Merchandise section. Includes any objects, wares, goods, commodities, intangible securities, bonds, debentures, stocks, real estate, or services. Is that... Well, I don't know what the merchandise being talked about here is. But I guess they'll say it in the complaint, huh? or services, emphasis added. So they're talking about services that were... Oh, because people pay her for the polling? Or pay her, because she gets paid to do polls? A consumer who suffers... President Trump, together with all of Iowa and American voters, is a consumer within the meaning of the statute. Okay. They furnish merchandise to consumers within the broad meaning of the statute since they provided a service, physical newspapers, online newspapers, and other content that contained the Harris poll. Jesus. So what are they asking for relief? Due to the need to spend extensive time and resources, including direct federal campaign expenditures, to mitigate and counteract the harms of the defendant's conduct, because the defendant's conduct was willful and wanton. President Trump is also entitled to statutory damages 3 times the actual damages suffered. Gee, okay. Actual damages, so that'll be determined upon trial of this action. Statutory damages 3 times. Ongoing deception, misleading acts. Jesus. I wonder if this would survive a motion to dismiss. Somebody said that this got transferred to a federal court. Or I wonder if they're, damn.